Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This morning, we're going to be looking at community again. This time, we're going to talk about the techniques for building community. My name is Lowell Ann, and in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs stay focused and motivated as we take their business to the next level. And we use some simple structures and some pretty easy technology. We'll be right back right after this. Greetings wherever you are, and welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is a weekly success circle intended as a support for solopreneurs. We get together because we enjoy each other's company, we like exchanging ideas and information, and lots of experimenting. We all give and receive support. And you can discover what we stand for by reviewing our operating principles right on the website. And by the way, you can see in my banner at the top, my new website is called beingyourown.ceo.com. So I want to welcome the viewers who are out there and invite them to check in by telling us what you do in the comments. In the section, we want to know that you're there. And so now I'm going to invite the members of the panel to introduce themselves. So this morning, Anna, how would you like to go first?
Sure, why not? To unmute myself first. I should take my glaring glasses off, but I can't see anybody, so bear with me. So my name is Ana Fernandez, and I live in Mazatlan, Mexico, but I'm traveling my way through Canada for the summer to get away from the incredible humidity down in Mazatlan. I run a couple of activity groups and information groups on Facebook for snowbirds and expats, and I also have a business that provides travel insurance and healthcare insurance for those same people. So I'm stuck in a basement, as you can see back here, at my friend's house, and I just kind of couch surf or room borrow as I go along through Alberta and BC and Alberta. And today I'm in Prince George, and I'll be here for a couple more weeks before I head off to Alberta.
Aha.
So, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm awful sorry to hear that you missed coming this way to Victoria. So
yeah, me too. It takes two of us. That's sad. I know. I love the island, but it just does not work in my plans this time. And I'm going off camping on Friday for about 6 days. So.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. I know that you're visiting family and friends for sure.
Yeah.
So welcome here. Glad you're here. Fred, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Fred Jones. I'm the creator of Our Future Leaders, and I'm located in Victoria at the moment. I'm wherever I was before.
You were in California.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was there, and then I was in Esquimalt, and now I'm in Vic West, looking after 2 Australian cattle dogs, 6 chickens, and 1 rat by the name of Stuart, while the people are overseas. And anyway, I just started that 2 days ago. What I do with Our Future Leaders, though, is it's an online coaching program which helps youth with their communication and leadership skills, which are skills they're going to need as the world is changing rapidly as we know it, and it helps them become the leaders that our world's going to need. And as you said, I think before, we need some right away. But it'll take a while. We're working on that.
Yes.
And I'm working with a group of, I had 22 youngsters at a local library yesterday, and every day this week we're working with them. So it's a lot of fun.
I think that's a wonderful thing that Toastmasters is doing, like you said it's sort of like summer camp for young people. Yeah,
that's what I'm doing at the library with the Toastmasters group. I'm doing another one in August in another library as well for a week. So.
Neat. Welcome here.
Thank you.
And I'm going to hold you to that promise of a few fresh eggs.
Yep, I'll bring them on Wednesday when we finally meet face to face. I'll bring you some of the chicken.
Oh dear. Just imagine meeting somebody for the first time face to face that we've probably over a year we've known each other and live in the same town.
And that's talking about building community. I mean, we were doing it online.
Yes.
I met Roland in California.
Yeah.
We meet with my website. Where did I meet him? Online.
Yeah.
And that's community.
Yeah. It's cool.
Same with Vivek and everyone.
Yes. It's cool. Right on. So right next to you in my little film strip is Alana. Welcome here. Are you catching up after being away?
I'm trying. I'm behind on a lot of things, but my name's Alana. I live in Ireland, and I've been in the States for the last 3 weeks in Connecticut, hanging out with my brother and my family. I have a website, emptynesterblog.com, where I help people create their own online income. And I also work for myself doing digital marketing. So yeah, that's me. And I do sound a little scattered today because my brain is going in about 10 different directions as usual. So and I only just got back on Sunday, so I think I'm over the jet lag now, but yeah. I'm probably going to pop in and out because I have something going on downstairs. I have something on the stove. So. Oh. It's dinner time here.
Yeah, what's for dinner?
Spaghetti.
Oh, right on.
So I have to check my sauce and make sure it's not burning. So I'll pop in and out from time to time.
All right. Oh, that's cool. So I'm glad to have you back. We missed you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's fun to be back.
Yeah, right on. So Nathan, what about you? What's up?
At the moment, not much. My name is Nathan Siegel, coming to you from Buenos Aires, Mexico. Nothing really to say in this moment. Just here.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes it simple.
That makes it simple. All right.
Yep.
Welcome here. I'm Vivek. What's going on with you?
Namaste. My name is
Namaste.
And my tagline is unify, simplify, amplify life. So I work in technology, have been a software developer for over 30 years, but aiming to simplify things, that's the aim. So Wake Technology is my brand. And I recently became a member of a networking group here, where their meetings are called as, the phrase they use is 50% social and 50% business.
Aha.
So that's the news.
So are people encouraged to meet outside this group for coffee or whatever? How does that
Yeah,
work?
they are. I'm in England, and just for the viewers who are not familiar with me, yeah, this group um, has been there since it's all over UK. It's spread all over United Kingdom. So,
Oh,
and it's a networking group where you meet in real life and network. They do have a Facebook page where they are doing a few things. But in terms of, I don't feel that it is a community as such in the true sense of the word. So I'm here today to learn from people who have built communities and are building communities and so on. So yeah, glad to be here.
And I see that you added some comments on the webpage, so I appreciate that, Vivek. I had several people sign up for today, but I don't see them. I do know that it's for those that are new to the whole process. It's not always really obvious for them the first time around. So I see Jay has popped in. How are you this morning? How is it out in sunny Langford?
It's a balmy 35 right now.
Yes.
I'm doing well. Hi, my name is Jay, and my company is Magi Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, hailing from sunny Langford.
And you're growing something behind you. What's that?
Well, considering legalization of marijuana is happening on October 17th.
It doesn't look like marijuana.
They're how would you know?
What do you think?
They're fake. It's fake grass.
Oh.
It's just to add a touch of color in the office.
You asked me how would I know? I raised 3 sons. Does that tell you anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I just need to make certain that I've covered everybody, because my little band here. I think I have. So if I've missed anybody, somebody let me know. So this morning, well, first of all, let's say last week we talked about community building, and our conversation seemed to center around what it feels like to be in community, why being in community is important, and what we gain from it. But at the end of that conversation, we thought, well, maybe we should take that conversation a little further and explore some techniques for building community. So that's what I propose that we do today. And I know that Fred belongs to a community. I know that Alana and Jay and I belong to a community. And Anna, I know that you belong to a community. And Vivek, I guess you kind of said that you didn't feel as though your group was a community yet. And what about you, Nathan? Would you say you belong to a community?
Ironically, yeah. Is this something that recently happened? You were talking about announcements, and it suddenly dawned on me, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. I wound up in a situation a little while ago. I was looking for leads for public speaking, looking for inroads, and this woman contacted me to do with a community, which is called Noble Goldman, and it has to do with building mastermind groups and creating a system of knowledge where they pay it forward using the golden rule. And if you don't know what that is, it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's our founding principle. And last week I was in my first mastermind. I'm going into another one tonight. And so I'm just learning the systems of this group, but it's definitely a community. And I'm just learning the ins and outs of how it works. And so what they're doing is they're helping people build business with MSIs, multiple streams of income, which is not unlike affiliate marketing in some ways, in my opinion. It'd be right up Jay's alley.
So this is an online mastermind?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it
right
is.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. So we wind up meeting just like we're meeting right
We're
now
doing
on
right
Zoom.
now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's been very nice. I wound up in my first meeting last Tuesday, and the sense of the community, the energy of the people there was really nice. It was very gentle. And I wound up with two friends like immediately, and then afterwards wound up asking one of them like how she started building her mastermind, and she was very kind on what she said to me about what she did, how she did it. And yeah, so far so good. So good questions, thank you.
So there's a few observations that I have. I view this group as a community. That's the way I think of it. I don't know whether the rest of you think of it that way, but I view it this way.
I agree.
Thank you, Vivek. But
I agree too. I'll add one more little piece to it, because we've known each other for so long, many of us, and the way that we get together, even though there's a structure, there's a lot of informality to it. And one of the things that I've felt many times when we've gotten together is, even though we're in different parts of the world, in some ways it's like having a fireside chat, and it's very comfortable. And sometimes I imagine, if you will, that all of you are sitting around me in my living room, and we're all having this chat. And even though it's virtual, there's a lot of comfort here, because we know each other quite well, and many of us are good friends even before this group. So there's all that.
So you used a number of interesting words that I would want to bring out, that the idea of formality and informality and structure. So that is kind of when I think back to creating this group, there were a few things that were important for me to do. I think, and one of them was that we came together and shared our business values, and that's what you see on the web page under the title, our operating principles. So we talked about that. That's a long time ago. We haven't talked about that for quite a long time. But we did do that. So that's one piece that I think is critical to any community, is that there would be a common set of values and principles, and that the community members need to buy into. The other piece that I think is important, that there be a leader who kind of guides where things are going to go. Because if there isn't somebody kind of overseeing what happens in that community, it's in danger of dying. So somebody needs to kind of head it up and make sure that the pieces happen, and to create some kind of a communication system, so that people know about what's coming up and so forth. So those are a few pieces that I think are really important. And so I kind of wonder, from your perspective, what are some techniques that have happened that you see in your community that you think are important? Anybody? Fred, what about you? I know that your community of the Toastmasters, I mean, it is a community. What can you elaborate on any techniques that they use?
Well, I think you summed up a lot of good techniques and principles of any community, and that was a great summary. First of all, you need a structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just everybody getting together and saying, "Oh, aren't we having fun?" You need a structure of some sort, either an agenda or what we're talking about. So, what you're doing in this group, and I do agree, it is a community. I've spoken to many offline, not only here, but there's been sometimes questions, and we try and help each other, which is one of the principles that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important rather than just saying, "Oh, we're going to have a chat," but we don't know what. So you do have a topic, and you obviously done some research every time. So you moderate it. So you need someone who is moderating this and running it. But to a certain extent, it doesn't have to be one person. It can be a group, and it can be assigned to different people, which is what we do
Mm-hmm.
from time to time in this group and in other groups. That I think one of the things we notice in Toastmasters, there is no one person running it. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay, who's going to do this next week?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to do that next week? And people volunteer to what they feel comfortable. And the other thing is giving feedback, which I think is very key to Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm.
The feedback that you get from others is probably what I call the secret sauce. Once something has been progressing, we do an evaluation, and we learn how to do it in a positive manner, not say, "Oh, you didn't do this, it's not criticism, it is suggestions, and it's known as suggestions. It's not, and realize that everybody has a different perspective anyway." So there's a lot of techniques and principles that I think Toastmasters have done very successfully, and it's been around since 1924, I believe.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's almost, it's getting over 90 years. And why would something, if you try and think what happened in 1924, what the world was like, it was a lot different. And a lot of organizations and groups that were around are no longer there. So why is Toastmasters still valid? And it's because it's offering people something that is key to them, which is communications and leadership and learning how to work with others. And that's what the man who started it is called Ralph Smedley, and he worked with the YMCA down in California, where this version started. He actually started this group elsewhere, but it never took off until the California one. He worked in different YMCAs. Every YMCA he worked at, he started the group, but when he left the group, it didn't continue. And so, but this one has expanded. It's in 100 and something countries now.
Wow. That's so. That feedback piece is an interesting one. One which I think applies in the WA community, doesn't it? It's really critical. Yeah. So Anna, what about you? I mean, you've kind of started your own community, an online community. What sort of techniques have you used?
Well, after observing how the community interacts and works down here, when I created my Mazatlan Snowbird Rentals group, one of the stipulations was that we would that they were only allowed to post positive or neutral kind of comments on anything. There was no tearing down of anyone, that sort of. If there's anything negative, in other words, I would delete it. And I say that right in the description of the group and stuff. It's simply a forum, basically, for sharing information and that sort of thing. My other group, that group's been around for 2 years now. The second group I just formed in the fall, and that was for activities for single snowbirds. And what happened with that is interesting. So I started to organize different activities for us to do and go on excursions, that sort of thing. And it got around Facebook because I have quite a few Mazatlan snowbird and expat friends as Facebook friends. It got around on Facebook, and people were really interested in what our group was doing. So the married couples were interested too and wanted to join. So I didn't have a problem with that. I don't care. I mean, our activities are really neutral. It's not a dating group or anything like that. So what I did was I let a few in that I knew personally, that sort of thing, or ones that come down without their partner. So they're virtually single when they're in Mazatlan. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm getting a lot of requests for this. So what I did was I put out a poll in that group saying, should we, do you want to allow this? Yes, no, or do you want to make certain activities clear that they're just for solos and have everybody else can join in to anything that we do? And that was the overwhelming vote on that. So that's how we operate now. So even though I've left the name solo in there in the group name, we still get quite a few couples joining in and participating in our activities. So that's how I handled that anyway.
So I would kind of sum that up as a set of ground rules.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We do have, funny enough, we have another Facebook group. It's nothing to do with me, but that was formed because of people's bitching, basically. And it's called Mazatlan's Fire and Brimstone. So you can bitch away in there as much as you want. So it's isolated and off the main Facebook.
I've encountered a few of those groups too, to do it down here where I'm at, and I stay as far away from it as I can. It's like I don't need that negativity in my life. Like, no way.
Up with Trump, of course, a couple of years ago when he got in.
Of course.
I didn't get involved. Once in a while, I pop in and see what the latest bitch session is all about. But other than that,
great idea. That's a really good idea. Is creating like an offset group. Call it the complaint department, and let all that negativity funnel over to there. That's a really fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's obviously very popular, especially with the negative Nellies, which
there's another one that's I don't know if it's still around, but it had to do with people who were upset about where they were working or where they had quit, and they were putting up all sorts of things about the unpleasant experiences, and it was called fuckedcompany.com.
Oh,
and I don't know if it still exists, but I remember being on that site and thought, I'm out of here. I can't deal with this.
Well, some people do need to vent, though. And
yes.
I think that's what you meant, Jay, when you said what a great idea. I mean, if you give people a place where it's expected, then that seems to serve a certain community. Yeah.
It depends on the needs. Like, I mean, there are all these other sites to do with scams and stuff like that. But some of them are just for the sole purpose of writing reports and bashing somebody. And like the ripoff report, where if you do that, that's an extortion site. And having been exposed to it a few times in one way or another, it's like I stay as far away from it as I can. One other thing I'd want to mention on that topic of that is, anybody in this group, if you're having any trouble with scammers in your life or any type of fraud, I had a major problem a few years ago with a roommate trying to defraud me multiple times. And after the last time, I found a website called fraudaid.com, which lists virtually every scam under the sun, how they work, and how to protect yourself. And that site really helped me a lot when I needed it.
Right.
But getting away from that and getting back to what we were talking about with this whole thing, one of the things that has come up in the mastermind, which I thought was really interesting, is, the founding principles and stuff, like what you have with your group and what we do each week. So, and we can look at that. Now, what they do in the mastermind, part of it, it's based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
That's where they get all the information from. Good chunk of it is from Proctor Gallagher. And what they have are these principles, and they literally read them every single meeting. And one of the things that struck me about it is, and I said to them, well, what do you think about this? Because they asked me for my opinion at the end. I said, well, one of the things about all these steps, and reading them like this, is it felt like I was in a 12-step group of a sort. And I said, and not in any negative way, it's just, but by doing what they were doing, they were creating a community cohesion kind of thing. And the energy of the group was really sweet. I mean, the way it was designed, I was so surprised by how nice it felt to be there. And it was like, wow, I want to come back. I want to be a part of this again. See where it goes.
So there's an interesting point, Nathan. I mean, I usually reference the operating principles when I'm introducing the group, but I guess from where I sit, I like to reference it because I want a reminder, and also to point out up to other people. But I don't know. How does everybody feel about reviewing the really going back and reviewing the operating principles once in a while? Does that feel necessary?
If I may add, I think it's not a bad idea because we don't remember things.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe shorten it because, for sake of time,
Mm.
there might be just certain elements. Say, this is what they are, and I think probably within 1 minute, you could summarize basic principles and say, well, and if you want to see them, they are online in their entirety. But I think what Nathan said is very valid. I know in Toastmasters we have principles, and we don't often
Review
use
them.
They're all printed. We don't review them. But when we do, it's such a refresher. And I think Nathan's hit a technique that can just refresh our memory each time, just 1 minute summary. I think that would be very effective.
Well,
For
my
anyone.
summary would be relationships before business.
Well, maybe a little bit more than that, but that's only about 3 seconds. There are some excellent principles in there, and
Yeah,
I think
there are.
I think if you just summarized it each time, I
Okay.
think that would be very effective. I think Nathan did
Okay.
a very good technique, so that's a wonderful
Yeah.
thought.
And I don't claim any ownership of this. It's just what I encountered in this group. Actually, the reading of it did take quite a while. Each one of us took a step to read this. There were different things to go through before we actually got to the mastermind. That was the only thing that bothered me a bit. But then again, I thought, well, maybe there's somewhat new to this. But according to what was laid out in Napoleon Hill, and what I can do with this thing is I can actually send to the group here. I'm not really sure how I would do it, but I got some documents from what they gave me, and I can actually send them over to the group here, so those of us here can have a look at it, because there may be principles out of there that you, Lowell Ann, might want to apply for here. And I mean, this group is a really nice group, and we've been around for quite a while, and it's a great feeling in every way. But then again, we might be able to enhance it even more. I mean, I like it as it is. It may be possible to, expand upon it.
There's always room for improvement, Nathan. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter
Well,
what
fair.
anybody's doing. There's always room for improvement.
Well,
And-
then, if I can figure out how to
Well,
send a couple
if
of
you
these
can
things
post
over.
it, you can go on the website and just post it in the comment section.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would do that because there are a couple of documents, so I'd
Oh, they're
have to upload
documents.
them. So,
Well,
Yeah.
then the way to do that would be to put them into Google Drive and share them
I
Via-
can do that, sure.
via email addresses. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'd have
Yeah.
to get everybody's email address so I could send it out. Sure, I could do that, no
Yeah.
problem.
Right on.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So before we move on, I just want to acknowledge that Lon McClure is out there, and he's posted that he's listening in whilst doing houseworks. So welcome here, Lon. We're glad you're here. So what's this? Oh, somebody shared the screen, right? Right. So Alana and Jay, what can you would you like to elaborate in any way some of the principles around the WA community?
Take it away, Alana.
I feel like I'm on the spot here. Okay, so I've been a member of WA for many years, and I only recently, I would say in the last couple of years, began participating in the online community. Most of my time was spent in the background, but I found that there is great value when participating in a community. It's especially when you work by yourself all day. So sharing ideas, swapping ideas, helping people out in live chat has been very useful for me. And you find that you know more than you think you know. So even if you're sitting in the background in live chat and someone throws a question out, a lot of times now I feel like I can answer it for wealthy affiliates. So I've been away for a few weeks, so I haven't been online much there. But another community I joined that was really helpful for me was a Facebook community. It was called Americans Living in Ireland. And I found that group to be very helpful. So when you move to a foreign country and you feel like a fish out of water and you land in a community like that, a friend of mine that I met through here by chance that lives, I think, from Minnesota, told me about the page, and I joined the page, and it made the transition so much better. And I realized that sounds kind of odd because I've been here 20 years, but I still felt like I was transitioning. But when you get on that, but when I became part of that community and found out a lot of people have the same ideas that I have about moving from the United States to Ireland, and yeah, it's been very comforting to know I'm not the only one that feels certain ways about certain things here.
So the way I would summarize that in terms of techniques, it's creating a safe space for people to kind of share their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and the thing too is
sort of a
there are
commonality.
principles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are principles on that page. I mean, just like in Wealthy Affiliate, you're not supposed to really, say, get involved in nasty things and that sort of thing. And same with this page that I'm on Facebook. There are principles that you have to abide by to be on the page. And if you go against those principles, you can be banned from the page. So, and I like, it's good to have rules like that because you don't want it to be a free for all.
Right.
There has to be some structure. So.
Right. So.
Okay, Jay, your turn.
Okay, I've sat on my hands enough. Okay, so in regards to WA, Wealthy Affiliate. Okay, so there's three, in my opinion, there's three pillars to business growth, right? Reduce costs, streamline your operations, and then increase your revenue. So those are the three operating principles of a business, right? I would hope everyone agrees with me. So reducing costs, streamlining your operations, and increasing your revenue. So how do you tie that into building a community, right? Because the whole community and profit is like oil and water. It's something it's relatively hard to mix, right? So in terms of WA, I think it's actual, it's business brilliance, what the founders have done here. And the way that they've reduced costs is that, time is money, right? So with a ever-growing base of 1.3 million members, how are you supposed to utilize your time effectively and help all of these people, right? How are you supposed to streamline your operations? And the way they did that is by building a community that helps each other, as opposed to, because when you join something, you're looking to these people as mentors. So you're looking at these people as like, okay, these guys, they've made it in the internet marketing world. I mean, they were already successful prior to making Wealthy Affiliate, right? And that was very transparent within any kind of sales page that you see. So that's, it's a great lead in to get people inside, right? So with that expectation, once you join, a lot of people kind of go like, okay, well, I'm going to learn from these guys, right? So what they've done is they've created this community, right? And they've also created an ambassador program, right? Where it allows the community to aid in that, helping people and creating growth, right? And the way they've done that is they've implemented a few tools to do that. One is an internal blogging tool. Another one is a live chat, and that's just with the community, not the tools that actually help you run your business, right? And as a result of them adding these specific tools like feedback area, internal blogging area, live chat, as a result of them adding these tools inside WA, for the community to use and help each other, it becomes almost like an addictive quality, where not only are you helping people, but you're making friends online and whatnot, right? And there's an addiction capacity there, where the people actually are enjoying it, right? So that when they're paying their membership dues, they don't feel this stress that they're paying membership dues, right, to be part of the community. Thus, as a result of people, having a nice high attrition rate, they're increasing their revenue, right? So, to me, that's just utter brilliance, So, if you can implement, whenever you create a community, and assuming that your community is at one point going to try to turn a profit, I think it's really important that you try to implement strategies so that you can reduce your costs, streamline your operations, and increase your revenue.
So, and I have to share that it's noticeable inside WA, that especially with the people when they're new, how often lost they feel, even though there are all kinds of videos and learning tools. I mean, there's all of that is there, but many of the new members coming in feel utterly and totally lost, and so that support that comes from the rest of the community is what keeps them there, I'm sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So there was another piece that I thought was kind of important in some communities, and I suppose it depends on the what kind of a community it is. But the concept of inclusiveness, I think, is a really important one. One, from my perspective here, is that I try to make sure that everybody here gets included in some way, and is able to express themselves and get invited, and that sort of thing. So I think the concept of inclusiveness is a really important one as well. I don't know if anybody would disagree with that. So did we lose our Anna? She said she was probably going to have to leave early, so I think we lost her, did we?
Yeah, she was waving, so I think
Oh, was
she
she?
Yeah.
Right. So so I guess we've got a number of things that need to happen in order to make a community work. The other, one of the most important one is that if there is a community, is that the members need to participate. They have to show up.
No lurking?
You can't have a community if people don't show up. So that's probably the most important one, is that people show up.
And see, that would require a certain amount of commitment as well. So if you join a community, then you can't really have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Either you're in or you're out.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that showing up and I guess certainly when I think of my choir community, for example, I mean, everybody shows up on a weekly basis and sometimes more often. And the other piece that makes the choir community work is how, when there's somebody new, how the people around them gather around to try to draw them in and make them feel welcome. And I guess that we just talked about that in WA. When people that are new and feel overwhelmed, it's important for the whole community to gather around and support that person, so that they feel they begin to feel as though they belong as soon as possible. And that's obviously how Nathan, you felt in this new mastermind group that you joined, is making people feel as though they belong or that they're welcome. So Vivek, I know you said you didn't belong to a community, but I wonder how you react, how you're reacting to what we're outlining here.
I was kind of making notes. I just put a comment with my what I have learned so far. First is need to have a structure.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everyone gets value. I think this is a big one. Everyone needs to get value, something out of the community. And the third one is, which you probably just mentioned, make sure everyone participates.
Mm-hmm.
And just now you kind of poked me saying, what about you? You're not saying anything. The fourth one is make sure negativity is avoided and addressed. It's not that you just avoid and push it under the carpet or anything. No, it has to be addressed. Should not be addressed in public, but it has to be addressed. And whatever is the reason for that negativity, as far as possible, needs to be sorted out, or need to find a way to solve the problem.
Yeah, I would agree. Although I haven't encountered any negativity in this group, so I don't feel as though I've had to address it. But certainly, if there were negativity arising, I agree. It certainly does need to be addressed.
If negativity is suppressed and saying we only talk about positive things here, don't talk about negative things, then they would feel that their problems are not addressed. They would not talk about them, yes, but they would also not, probably those negative things are the reason of maybe their own actions, known, unknown, whatever, but somebody else may be able to solve them, may be able to find out a solution.
So, if you have ground rules about how the group is run, like I was a part of a group for a while, I still am, but it's pretty much gone dormant because we realized that we couldn't make things work. But we did emphasize in the group that there was going to be a certain attitude about how we were going to function, and we wouldn't allow people with the victim mindset into the group. And like there were some people who would come in with that, and one my partner was saying, look, if you wind up spiraling down, we're not going to go into that hole with you. We are going to reach into the hole as if you're a rabbit, grab you by your ears and yank you out. But we won't go down there with you. We won't allow it. And if you do that and you keep doing that, you have to leave. So that was the way that we were dealing with it. It's cool that those of you here know exactly what I was talking about.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah.
So, have we beaten the subject to death by now, or?
Actually, no, because the part of it that we haven't really necessarily spoken about is how you would actually build the community. Where do you get the members from? What do you say to them as a quote, a pitch? Why should somebody join your group? What are the benefits if they do so? What are the long-term things that will happen? What will happen in terms of contribution? How should they contribute or contribute rather? Stuff like that. And that's the part that we haven't covered. And that's what I really want to know.
I'm all over that. I can talk about that for days.
Please do. I mean, I was hoping you would, because I was thinking Jay obviously knows about this. So It's like, okay, here's the floor. Go for it.
I was just waiting for
please.
Alana to come back.
She went downstairs to
she might-
check her
Stir the
spaghetti.
Yeah,
having-
I have
She's
spaghetti on the stove. I don't want to burn it this time.
All right. Well, I've got
you know, that burnt flavor can be really good.
Or I've got 8 minutes.
Yeah, you've got 8 minutes. The pasta's on.
All right. Okay. All right. So starting a community. So you have to determine where you want to start it, whether you want to do it in, you know, like a place like Facebook, or if you want to run it on your own platform, on your own website, basically. So there's advantages to each and there's disadvantages to each. The primary advantage to doing it on Facebook, creating a group, is that it makes it easy to start attracting members, right? Just because you're basically piggybacking off of your own followers, and you can do an ad and whatnot, right? So there's a very distinct advantage to that. The very distinct disadvantage to that is that you're running this community, this business off of leased land, whereas if down the road you want to open up your community or change your community platform to your own site, you need to somehow funnel all of that over to your own platform, whether that be through a sticky post or whatnot, right? Your Facebook group could get shut down for whatever reason, policy violations or something like that, you know, and so on. So I mean, those are the two advantages and disadvantages of doing it on Facebook. Doing it on your own website, so the advantage is you have absolute control, and it actually makes it easy to monetize. So if you ever wanted to add a membership gate to add a second tier or something, that makes it extremely easy to do that when it's on your own site. The disadvantage is that it's hard to, you know, get people to come on to your own platform because they're walking into the unknown, if you will. So thus it's hard to get members to join your own community. The technology part could be challenging because it's usually an additional software or an application that you need to add either within a separate folder on your server, or within as a plugin or a component or an addition of sorts, right? So you can hire Vivek and he'll help you out, and if you wanted to go down that route. So and the other disadvantage is just managing the group, right? It's going to be hard to get people to constantly, because they have to leave Facebook or they have to go somewhere else to be a part of the group, right? So you need to create things that are much more beyond than just like a chat forum or a post forum similar to Facebook, right? So those are the challenges, right? So I think if you were to write down the pros and cons of each and determine where you want to go, in my opinion, I think what I would do is I would strategize it in a way where you start in a public area in Facebook as a group, let that grow to like 1,000 members, at which point then strategize moving these people over to your own platform. And when you have your own platform, utilize a technology where it allows people to log into that platform using their Facebook credentials, right? That way it makes that easy transition. Hey, we just carry your profile picture, your name, and all that kind of stuff over. And people are doing that every day. And also sign in with Google is another option. Right?
Yes.
So make that transition really easy, right? From there, so once you start your group, and then, you know, the really important part is you need to make people feel like they're part of an exclusive area that no one else gets access to, especially when you're doing it on your own land. So you need to strategize that. Like, what are the areas or what are the things that you can do to keep people interested, you know, because you can't let something self-run at inception. You need to create either like a weekly hangout, a live Q&A session or something like that, right? I mean, that's exactly what we've done in WA with the webinars, right?
Yeah.
It's exclusive, only premium members get it, and we get the live Q&A. So, you know, and people are finding value in these webinars because, you know, anyone that wakes up at 2 a.m. to attend a live webinar, obviously there's
Right.
why they're doing it, right? So yeah, so there you go. So thank you. So yeah, so you need to create something that has what they perceive as tremendous value that brings them back over and over again. And once you have that community value, you can then, you know, flash any sales page you want or throw in any affiliate link in there you want, and you know, you'll be able to monetize it. Why? Because you built trust. Right? Once you build trust, it's a lot easier to monetize things, right? And I mean, that really carries over with any blog post or any blog mentality or writing mentality, right? Is you want to build trust before you show them any kind of sales page, right? You want to invite them to your backyard barbecue for a couple times before you sell them the actual barbecue. So yeah, I mean, those are some really simple rudimentary strategies. But once you started that community, it's really important. And once that membership base gets bigger and bigger, then you have to start thinking about, well, how can I automate this? How can I, streamline operations? How can I do that so that you can still, be a part of the membership or be a part of the community as an ambassador, yet not do it as often, right? And that is why I think having some sort of ambassador program or moderator program where you graduate people who are really part of the community, and reward them, by saying you're awesome and whatnot, right? You can do a point system or something like that. And then as a result of that, they can basically take the reins. And then that's when that community really starts to grow, because then your job as the founder is to bring people in by showing people value. That's
the key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's the total key is the value.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not just starting a group and having fun with it. You got to have milestones, I think, in terms of your growth, your community growth, because it's a business, right? So it's a business. And if you have those three: reduce costs, streamline operations, and increase revenue, if you keep that mindset while building your community, then you can have a specific strategy, right? So creating milestones, and those milestones can be date milestones, they can be membership volume milestones, or post volume milestones, whatever you want. So I think it's really important to create milestones. Whereas once you achieve that step for your business, it's time to take the business to the next step, right? The next level.
So, and of course, we're speaking about community in relation to business, but we have to also recognize that not all communities are a business, and that a lot of the same principles apply.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I but I mean, also, building a community, you got to monetize. In my opinion, you got to pay for it somehow, right? So, if your community is just a community where it's just, you're building awareness of some sort, then I think doing it in a public forum is totally fine, in Facebook and whatnot. So, but I think if you're strategizing to build a community for business growth, then I think, or even brand building, your own brand building. I think it's important to have an actual strategy where you either build it right at inception on your own land, or have a milestone where you want to shift people over from, and it could be like waves of boats, right? Whereas like every 1,000 members, you do a big announcement saying, hey, we've got an exclusive invite program right now. The first 500 people, kind of like the Titanic, you got 1,000 people on the boat and only room for 500 life rafts, so they rush over. I know it's a bad example, but
yeah, I really get a sinking feeling about that.
But you want to create that. Well, like, to give you an example, do you remember when Gmail first came out, where you only got an invite, and then you can send out like 2 or 3 invites, to get in part. And they were like selling them on eBay. It was utter mayhem, and it was all for just a Gmail address. So if you kind of create that kind of hype during that milestone of shifting people over from public Facebook group to private area,
Somebody's phone is binging.
Oh yeah, that's just mine.
I have a question, Llewellyn.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard delegation is the most difficult part for a solopreneur.
Delegation.
Yeah. You build a community, you want someone else to handle parts of it. That is delegation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for a solopreneur, I've heard that is the most difficult part to do. They want to hold on to what they have achieved. It's their baby. No, can't. No. It will be done my way or not at all. And so that's delegation is the most difficult thing for lots of people to do.
Well,
and you can address it in so many different ways. So one of the ways is by outsourcing. You have specific tasks that you really don't like doing, or they suck up a lot of time, and you can find outsourcers to do it on.
The problem I'm talking about is the resistance to delegate. They don't want to delegate. How do you address that?
Yeah, they want to control everything.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to go,
read
guys. I really do. I'm sorry, but I got to fly here.
Thanks for joining us,
Jay. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah. No, but I think that what Vivek is saying is, in terms of community, that's the hard part. And as I think of WA, for example, it was 2 partners who came in, but then they brought Jay in to do certain things, and they certainly have been able to delegate, and even that whole concept of having ambassadors that are there and supporting and doing so. It's probably as a community grows, it's probably a very important thing to think about. Is that once it grows, there does need to be, the leadership needs to be shared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very interesting.
I'm also going to have to go, so thank you very much, as always.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the clock, and unless we have some further things, I think we've covered a lot of techniques here, haven't we? Yeah. I've got a full page of notes written as well. So. Perhaps it is time for us to fold up, unless somebody has a parting comment. I see Alana must have left us for a minute, and so any parting comments before I suggest that we are going to, if you can stay on and help decide what next week's topic will be, that will be good. So, do I hear do I see anybody waving for a parting comment? If not, I will say, as a reminder, how important it is to do what you love. And we'll see you next week. So now I need to do some certain things.